Are at UCSB campus. If you are part of the evacuation area, you can head there for a place to lay your head and to get a bite to eat. Want to mention these evacuation warning zones in Santa Barbara City. North San Marcos Road to 154, north of Cathedral Oaks to intersection 154 and San Marcos Road. Be prepared to leave. The mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for parts of Santa Barbara City due to the Thomas fire, which include the area east of Highway 154 to Mission.
Delivers more of those purchases to homes than anyone else in the country, because we know even the smallest things are sometimes the biggest.
We had double digits, which we thought would really help, but with these winds, CJ, and the lack of rain for so long, it's just a real dangerous situation.
And right there, you see in the foreground, you can see the trees and the bushes kind of blowing. That's obviously from somebody's property. It looks like what they call ornamental foliage, plants that probably around a home or a property, but you can see.
These winds are going to be happening right now as we speak. Here in the morning hours, they really kicked into gear probably around 6:45. I'm hoping that they'll start calming down soon. I anticipate, though, by the afternoon that they'll really be calming down. But for Santa Barbara County, there is a red flag warning. This is in effect right now. We've been talking about this for a while. It will stay in effect until 10 p.m. on Saturday. As we go later into the weekend, we anticipate Ventura County will start seeing those Santa Ana winds. Ventura County, all of it is under a red flag warning from 1 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Sunday because of those windy Santa Ana winds coming for them. As of this moment, because the winds are strong enough, they warrant this high wind warning in effect for the Santa Barbara County mountains because of those damaging gusts up to around 65 miles per hour. So we are dealing with very windy conditions across the board right now.
I mean, as you're talking about that, we're just looking at these conditions. Yeah, Beth, you've got some info?
Yeah, a viewer just called in and said that the fire is now below homes, right above Westmont, and they are going to start hitting the houses now, coming over the southwest ridge. This is according to a viewer who's in the area, watching these flames and watching these incredible gusts. And
we saw how bad it was maybe about an hour and a half ago when Joey and John excuse me, when Palmentary and Joey were in that area. The flames were just a block or two away from Westmont. I mean, that was up in the East Mountain area, I believe.
Want to mention real quickly, voluntary evacuations for folks all areas south of Highway 101 from the Santa Barbara Zoo to San Ysidro Road. Also Constance, APS, South Salinas on the north and east, Highway 101 on the south, and West Mission to State Street on the west. This is in the city of Santa Barbara. Constance, APS, South Salinas on the north and east, Highway 101 on the south, and West Mission to State Street on the west.
All right, we have Kelly Hoover on the phone. Kelly, what can you tell us? What's the latest?
Well, right now I'm at the evacuation staging area, which is at the Sears parking lot, and what you're seeing here is resources coming in from all over the place, all the different law enforcement agencies in the county, everybody coming in to help because, as you know, there are 12,000 people in the mandatory evacuation area, and the sheriff's office role in all of this is to make sure that everybody is evacuated safely, that everybody is notified. That is obviously a massive undertaking, so we need all the resources we can. We have Sheriff Search and Rescue, Ventura County Search and Rescue, who have already carefully mapped out how they're going to go about going door to door. They also have, like I mentioned, law enforcement agencies and mutual aid, as a matter of fact, from all over the county. So you're seeing those people come here right now.
If I can cut you off, I don't know if you can see a TV, but what we're showing right now is flames are now overtaking the tea garden area. This would be the tea garden property where you see the arches. We were just showing this moments ago. Flames, you could tell, are on the backside of the ridge. They've now pretty much overtaken that property and now moving in on homes just below it.
And there's no way to get aircraft in there at this point, helicopters, or obviously no way for fixed wing.
Yeah, Beth, that brings up a fact. County Air Support, they tried to make a water drop early this morning at 6:45. They had a tank full of water, and they just could not drop due to the dangerous winds they were experiencing. They have been, from the beginning, assigned to help with nighttime structure protection, and this morning, and it's just too dangerous with the winds, which is definitely concerning.
And that was right off the bat this morning.
Right off the bat. Yeah, I mean, and that's a double whammy for us, because now not only the strong winds feeding these flames and pushing them really hard toward the city, but we don't have the air support to try and kind of fly in and try and save some of these homes. That is just a scary scenario.
Yes, it is. Again, we want everybody to be as calm as they can, but it's definitely an issue that our air support cannot get there to. It's just too dangerous for them.
Obviously, yeah, there's no way in many of these areas now for anybody to get in to help people who did stay behind. And they made that very clear, that they were not going to start putting people at risk to evacuate people in these mandatory zones that we're supposed to have evacuated.
You know, the other thing, when we're sitting here looking at this video, Kelly, you've been talking about how people who are in these evacuation zones, whether it's mandatory evacuate or voluntary, they have to pay attention, because what we've been watching here over the last 15 minutes should tell everybody just how quickly this fire is moving, and that every second really does count. We were just watching this area that we're looking on the screen right now just moments ago. You couldn't see any flame. You just saw the smoke on the other side of the ridge line. Now everything within the frame of our shot has flame around it. So this gives everybody at home a sense of how big and how fast this fire is moving.
You know, it's really incredible. This is day 12 of the firefight. This broke out December 4th above Steckel Park. A small fire with winds that just whipped it through Ventura, and look now, burning the hills of Montecito.
We had hurricane force winds that took that fire from Santa Paula all the way into the city of Ventura within hours. And I've talked to neighbors and friends, and they said they watched it jump down an entire hillside within 15-20 minutes. And at one point, it was going about an acre a second. And if you were thinking about that, the winds this morning, we are seeing some of those gusts in the 60-mile-per-hour range, and we are watching here on this live camera shot coming from Joe Butita and his photographer Connor coming in, and we just saw that section where that home is. Now it's engulfed in flames. Now we can't even see the home because of all the ash in that area and all of that smoke coming through, and those winds so strong out there.
And it almost appears as if you got firefighters backing out of there. Mm-hmm. There is a point where they just cannot do structure protection. It just becomes way too dangerous, and they just have to get out. And when you start seeing that many fire trucks just backing out of an area, you know that there isn't a whole lot they can do with those kinds of winds.
You're really seeing the plume now lay flat and just following down the hillside. You can see with the trees, the brush.
But it's within the last 2-3 minutes we've been looking at this live camera shot here. We went from seeing that area kind of preserved and no flames, no smoke in that section, to now we can't even see the home, which is actually on the right-hand portion of our screen, because the flames are so thick and the gusts are so strong, it is just pushing all of that smoke throughout that area as we speak.
And you wonder if this perhaps may have been a home that was lost in the now you see that structure above it, full of smoke as well. Wondering what the materials are. If people who did rebuild in that scar zone use completely different building materials that could survive this, and it appears as though that second structure, Kelsey and CJ above, looks like it's probably not going to.
Yeah, the minor structure looks like
it's engulfed.
Yeah.
Just got word out of Ventura that there is a community meeting today, Buena High School at 3 o'clock. The address is 5670 Telegraph Road. For folks in the Ventura area. And obviously, Kelsey, we're really focusing on the wind event, the fire event happening in Montecito. You said things calmer in the Ventura area?
So for everybody in Ventura County at this very moment, winds have stayed pretty calm for you. Some of the calmest winds you've seen in a little bit. Yesterday, you kind of ended that Santa Ana wind event. Thursday was a very bad day for the Santa Ana winds in Ventura County. Friday, it wrapped up. And here we are on Saturday, a calmer day for the Santa Ana winds in Ventura County. But this is not over. So I'm expecting the strongest winds in the Santa Barbara County foothills. They are right now. It will probably calm down a little bit this afternoon, but it's still going to remain strong all day long. And then once we get to the evening, we have those evening sundowners coming back into our forecast, but they're not going to be as strong, or at least we hope they're not going to be quite as strong as the 60-mile-per-hour gusts that we are seeing at this moment. Once the event starts to wrap up in Santa Barbara County, the winds are going to shift. And then Ventura County overnight will start to see the Santa Ana winds perk back up in their area. And on Sunday, we will have a Santa Ana event in the Ventura County area. So Ventura County, relatively calm today. Today, the winds are focused here in South Santa Barbara County's mountains, along the South Santa Barbara County coastal area. And that is where we are seeing these incredible gusts. And that is where this incredible image is coming from, the Montecito Hills.
Oh, frightening to see. We were afraid this is what was going to happen this morning.
We know this fire is basically has marched and is burning right now, more so now, 60 miles of our coast and was 40 miles wide, if you will, toward the back country. I have no idea at this point how much larger it is given today's events.
And it might be a while until we get that confirmed acreage, because right now, firefighters' main objective, as they keep telling us, is to protect people and to protect property. So they're not going out there and trying to just say, oh, how big is this fire? How many structures have we lost?
Yeah,
right now, they are just trying to protect those structures and make sure everybody gets out safely. And as you're hearing these warnings and the new evacuation orders, get out safely. Don't rush. Don't panic. Just take your time to safely evacuate properly.
All right, joining us on the phone now, we have Mayor Helene Schneider. She's joining us, Santa Barbara City Mayor. Hi, Helene. What can you tell us at this point?
Well, first, thank you so much for doing all you're doing all morning and this whole week. You know, it's the big issue is just the change in the mandatory areas, which from a couple of hours ago, and the voluntary areas that basically cover downtown Santa Barbara and Upper State Street as a voluntary area. Just encouraging everyone to be alert and follow directions, especially if you're in the mandatory area on the Riviera and up from there, to get out and follow so our firefighters can do their job.
Okay. Hi, Mayor. Sorry, we're trying to pull up our new evacuation maps as you talk about it too, and you're saying the new changes for the city of Santa Barbara, obviously, involving Upper State Street. And we do know that we've got some barricades in place. Police are calling in extra resources to help with these evacuations. Can you again elaborate a little bit more on that?
The law enforcement is on it. They're doing as much as they can to keep people out of the mandatory area, to help evacuations, to put information out. So I've never seen as many people fighting a fire ever as I have on this one. So people should know that absolutely everything is happening as possible to fight this as best as we can.
All right, and we are just stressing to folks not to panic. And remembering those 6 Ps, which I think is really important, because some people say, oh my gosh, I'm in the voluntary, I don't even know what to bring. Those 6 Ps are really helpful. And Mayor, are you familiar with those?
I am. Prescription drugs, your photos, your pets, you know, there's basically little things, your computers, your things that you can easily take with you that are irreplaceable. The thing with a voluntary evacuation, a lot of it is out of an abundance of caution and to keep people alert. So it's a chance for you to have the time to get things ready. So if at a moment's notice you need to leave, you can. I would also just recommend, if you don't have to be in the area right now, the smoke is horrible, just, you know, leave town for a little bit and take the stuff with you. You don't need to be watching every little bit if it's making you nervous. Then even if you're in an involuntary area, go see a friend, go see some family, and you can certainly watch on Key News online or on KEYT if you want to get the update.
All right, Madam Mayor, thank you so much for joining us and updating us, oh gosh, from your perspective. And you know, I know there's big concern about this pushing from Montecito over to the Santa Barbara area. Again, people need to be calm and be very aware of the evacuation areas, the mandatory and voluntary. We have those on our website at KEYT.com, and we are bringing those to you throughout the morning hours, and we are going to be with you throughout this event. Kelsey, you can see a big, huge glow off to the right of the screen. Looks like a big flare-up.
And it's interesting to see o'clock in the morning, but now we are seeing these flames actively creep down the hillside. The smoke is blocking much of our vantage point from many locations, but if we can take the TV Hill Skycam shot, this is live off of TV Hill in Santa Barbara. This gives you a broader perspective of what we are looking at here, and that red glow in the air coming from where that fire zone is. It's very dark in that area. We've been hearing from our live reporters out at scene what they're having to deal with there, and something as people are packing up their stuff, if they're in a voluntary zone and they're thinking, you know, it's better safe and better to do it now than later, just remember a few of these things. Remember that you can get through on the southbound side of the 101. So if you want to head to Ventura County, southbound 101 is open. CHP has closed the northbound side of 101 at Seacliff. Seacliff is in the Ventura County area. It is just outside the city limits of Ventura there at the Ventura State Beaches. The reason they closed the northbound side of the 101 in the Ventura County area is to prevent people from Ventura County invading the space and coming into Santa Barbara County and just clogging up those roads. What we want to do is we want to be able to let people in this area get out to Ventura County or maybe go travel up north at North, US 101 northbound. It is completely closed on the freeway at Turnpike. But as we talked with CHP a little bit earlier, you can easily get off the 101 and get right back on. So you can go northbound or southbound on the 101 with no problem. But the 154, because of firefighters trying to get and fight this fire, they do have that closed. Do not take the 154. That's so firefighters can do their best fighting at this time.
That's right. And on the 101, Kelsey, at Turnpike, because of this overturned tanker, they said that Caltrans is now repaving.
So it's going to be wild.
So they expect to reopen. Hopefully by 4 o'clock, that could change too, depending on the situation. Also, I don't know if you mentioned all the off-ramps throughout the Montecito area.
I have not yet, no.
So all those off-ramps, northbound and southbound throughout Montecito, talking Padaro, Evans, Sheffield, Olive Mill, Hermosillo, into Summerland as well, Padaro, those are all closed. So people who need to evacuate can do so safely, and so they're not hampering the emergency crews trying to get to the spots where they need to with this fire as it spreads.
And if you've been under an evacuation order before, I have many friends and family in the Ventura area. I'm from Ventura. When there's that happening, the roads get clogged because there are so many people at one point in time trying to get out. So that is why they are doing this. They're not trying to hinder you from going home to get something. They need to get the people out of there to have those safe ways out. So that's why all of these closures are going on. But again, you can travel northbound and southbound on the 101. There's just that one delay at Turnpike.
All right. I was about to say, I don't know if they want to pop it up now, but we actually have a really nice evac map. This is what we've been working on. If we can pop it up. Boy, it kind of gets small quickly, doesn't it? But I'm going to give you some landmarks here. Here's the zoo. There's the wharf right there. Highway 154 goes up this way like that. And you can see anything in orange is voluntary evacuation areas. So if you're in that area, you should be packing up probably well into it, about 45 minutes to pack up and just come up with a plan. If you're in anywhere in that red area or kind of pinkish area, that is mandatory. You should be out or on your way out. And this fire, if you look at the red over here where the fire is burning, that, if I'm not mistaken, would be the old fire line. So we believe the fire line, if we're looking at the maps and what we just saw with the tea garden, it's got to be burning up in this area, maybe even past that. I'm trying to find a landmark, but
well, Ashley Road, we know the Tea Gardens area, we know
right.
Cold Spring and Westmont, so burning near Westmont College.
Yep. So it's up in that area. That should give you a little bit of perspective. You see Parma Park there.
We know that this fire
approaching Rattlesnake Canyon, maybe.
This fire became the third largest fire in California's history this morning, and likely is being bumped up again because of this spread. I want to check in with our executive producer. It sounds like we may have somebody holding on the phone. Oh. Okay, we want to check back in with our senior reporter, John Palmentary, who's been on the scene since well before daylight this morning in the Montecito area, and he's really hopping around trying to find a safe spot to bring you the latest. John?
Yes, we were in the area of Ashley Road off of Sycamore a short time ago, and we were somewhat surrounded by the blowing embers and ash and all that was going on. Even some active fire was around us, and we were hunkered down there. Now we're out on East Mountain Drive. This is the 1000 block of East Mountain Drive, and it's full of firefighters that have had their hoses out and they've been actively fighting some of the ground fires and spot fires here. We're lined by eucalyptus trees, a lot of dry brush on the ground and leaves on the ground that have been whirling around. Gusts have been in excess of 35 to 50 miles an hour by my estimation in this area. And we have had some property losses here, including some awnings and sides close to buildings, but no structures have gone down here. The fire departments have done an excellent job of jumping on top of these fires when they hit the ground and attacking. They have countless fire trucks in a coordinated effort. This is the Los Angeles County strike team right in front of us. We've seen San Jose, Marin, even out in Missoula has been here, and San Jose, and they've been up in the driveways. We were over in Ashley in the 800 block, and they did exceptional work there in the drainage and creek bed as it was heading towards Sycamore. Now they're pulling some hose in front of us, which means they're probably going to go after some spot fires there. And this is another fire truck coming in right behind them. So some of these are structure trucks and some of these are brush trucks. And they have basically got themselves in an area where they're seeing a lot of spot fires under these eucalyptus trees that are moving low to the ground. This is all from Los Angeles coming up here. They're parking and pulling hoses here, and then the street curves and bends to the left if you know this street. And they're around there as well, also actively spraying up in the hills there. The winds are still gusting in this area, but amazingly, from what we saw earlier, that huge black cloud of smoke, the ominous cloud that came over Mount Carmel Church and Hot Springs and came barreling down through this canyon. One firefighter went by us and said, the whole thing's gonna go. Well, fortunately, the winds went somewhere else and the firefighters are right on the spot, and the whole thing didn't go. And they are certainly on top of it right now with numerous crews that are coming in. They're sizing up where to position themselves, and they know they have numerous hot spots here. Hoses are out of their trucks. Hoses are connected to fire hydrants. They have couplers on them to split them off. We've got firefighters over there now just pulling up from Fresno to help out. So they're trying to back these trucks in and line this street. They must be very concerned that there's some fire in there somewhere that might come right down this wash or this drainage that I'm standing next to. Where we're at right now is the 1000 block of East Mountain Drive. Fire has been here throughout the morning since about 7 or 8 o'clock this morning. And now they're getting a brush truck in here, this larger one, and back in this other truck up here in front of us. So that's the very latest here, as we've got active firefighting going on up in the canyons here. Numerous trucks coming through here to position themselves. Firefighters with shovels, hoses, and some chainsaws as well in here that they're going to try and use to stop any spot fires. They've protected these large homes that are in here and big properties, but they certainly have a battle because we've got these tall eucalyptus trees that are just falling apart right before their eyes when the big winds come through, just shredding their bark, shredding their limbs, some of them on fire. And we've heard huge pops and explosions that are associated with eucalyptus trees heating up and the oil's blowing. We've heard at least 3 of those in this area here, but the winds continue to blow. That's the scene here on East Mountain Drive at Ashley. We're on the other side of Sycamore, and we're going forward likely around the bend there and see what's happening with the head of all this smoke and some fire that's taking place that direction. So that's the latest here. A lot of homes saved for what we see, thanks to good firefighting in numerous locations on top of spot fires. I'm John Palmentary on the scene on East Mountain Drive in Montecito, covering the Thomas fire.
All right, John, we're going to check back with you in just a second. Kelsey Gerkins has some new numbers for us in terms of the winds and direction.
So in the Montecito Hills, we are waiting for that sensor to go back up live. Could be a power surge, just the very strong winds. Last check about an hour ago, the winds coming through that area were around 60 some miles per hour. Those are the gusts. The sustained winds around 30 miles per hour. Now, if you take a look at the map, the Santa Barbara Botanic Gardens, this is around 700 and some feet for elevation. The winds there have calmed down when it comes to sustained winds by quite a bit. So about 25 minutes ago, they were north-northeast at 27 miles per hour. Right now, they're north-northeast at 14 miles per hour. So the sustained winds have started to calm down, but the wind gusts, which create this very erratic situation, they are currently at 48 miles per hour. So that is a brand new current information out of the Santa Barbara Botanic Gardens. Those wind gusts still very strong, 48 miles per hour. I can only assume, but we're not sure because we can't get that current information. The Montecito Hills are seeing wind conditions a little bit stronger than what they are seeing there. Now, Santa Barbara County, the mountain area and the coastal region are under this red flag warning. That will continue until 10 p.m. tonight. We are seeing probably, we hope, and what we are forecasting, the strongest winds this morning. It really started around 6:45, continuing now a little bit calmer in some spots, but that is what we are dealing with in Santa Barbara County. The winds are strong enough that a high wind warning is in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. We do anticipate right when the sun sets, we'll get that classic sundowner effect and have the winds start to pick back up again once we get into the evening hours. Probably a little bit of calming, but still strong as we go into the afternoon, but then it'll pick back up with those damaging gusts once we get into the evening hours. Now, I have to say, Santa Barbara County is the section getting hit very hard today, but Ventura County has a day off. Tomorrow, the Santa Ana winds are expected to hit Ventura County, really anticipated to start tonight.
Wow.
Boy, and who knows where it's going to push the flames then, right? Okay, we're going to go back out to Joe Butita, and he is trying to find his last location. You tell us where you are now, Joe. We were looking at the tea gardens from your perspective.
Yeah, guys, we are standing on Coyote Road right now. We're behind Westmont College. Coyote Road and East Mountain Drive. That's the best location I can give you. We're kind of tucked into a driveway here. We have seen fire crew after fire crew after fire crew come up here. Probably about 25 rigs in the last 5 minutes. They're all stationing right in front of us and then driving up the hill towards where this fire is burning. Think about it. A lot of these crews are from out of the area. We have LA County, we have Riverside. I see a San Luis Obispo truck, which are some local guys, but it's not necessarily the Montecito firefighters and Santa Barbara County. So you got to think, these are very tight roads back here. They're dangerous, windy conditions, and these guys don't know the terrain as well. So that is something that they have to play into as well. They kind of have to get used to what they're looking at when they get up here and then head in. They're all being briefed before those trucks go in. There's a kind of a fire little headquarters up the road here on Mountain Drive. They're all meeting there. They're stopping at our location and then pulling up the hill where you've been seeing them driving by on that road and going behind these homes and trying their best to do structure protection. That's where fires are fought. You know, the planes are great, but you have to get in there and try to stop it. But until these winds die down, we have gusts of 60 miles an hour. They've got to be. I mean, they're just blowing trees. I'm surprised we haven't seen more trees over. Although Connor and my photographer and I were driving up this way, getting out of all the smoke to try to give a better perspective of where the fire is. Because when we were in it, you just couldn't see anything. So now that we're over this way, we did see a lot of trees that were down. Those big eucalyptus trees kind of line a lot of streets over here near Westmont College. And again, we're on the back side of it. And those trees have very shallow roots. So that's just one other thing that all these fire crews, with all the equipment that's up here, the bulldozers we've seen, all these engines, the tenders, the water trucks, everybody's up here and just another obstacle for them.
All right, Joe. So give people perspective. Yeah, you're kind of between Westmont and maybe Parma Park, maybe even closer to Parma Park. Does that sound about right up in the foothills? We're right.
Parma Park is right. I can see kind of Parma Park just up the hill here. So yes, we're right in between Westmont and Parma Park. I know there's a lot of different roads back here, so it's difficult, and these roads are all so long. East Mountain Drive goes all the way through Montecito and into Santa Barbara, so it's a huge road. I got to say, though, in the last probably 45 minutes that we've been at this location, the fire has roared towards us. We used to be able to see two different peaks back there. I think you said it was Montecito Peak, and then there's like Gould Park as well, which is the next location kind of in between Montecito and where we are, Montecito Peak and where we are, and you can't even see them anymore. They are covered in smoke. The fire now inching closer to what these homes. We saw it go through the arches of where the T fire was, the T fire arches. So those are up there in this area as well. And it's roaring, guys. The smoke is unbelievable. You look over to the right and it's everywhere. It's just amazing to see how much smoke is going up into the air. And I can only imagine your view from TV Hill is probably smoked in.
No, actually, we've got a great view.